Welcome to a very special program with just days left before three key states, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, go to polls. We've been trying to gauge the mood of voters in all three states on a host of issues. Now, this is being done in partnership with CSDS Lokniti, who actually do all the hard work, go get us all the data, while we sit here in the luxury of this studio and analyze the results. Be that as it may, the poll conducted is extensive. Tonight we look at two states, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, and broadly speaking, we'll be looking at themes related to the performance of governments, key election issues which have been identified, the big faces that's such a huge factor in Indian elections, and how voters respond to government schemes, state and centre, when asked about how effective these have been. Then, of course, there's the crucial caste factor, which in any election in India often underwrites a political calculation or an election equation. It is all quite vast. Before we get to the data itself, let me introduce our panelists. First and foremost, Sanjay Kumar, psephologist and professor at CSDS, the man behind this data, along with a very large team that actually spread out not just to Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, but Rajasthan, which we looked at yesterday. Avinash Kalavita, Shankar Iyer, Manisha Priyam with me in the studio, Radhika Khera of the Congress, and Pratyush Kant of the BJP will be with us as well. But before we actually get to the poll of Madhya Pradesh first, and that's what we are going to be doing over the next 1.5 hours. We'll be looking 45 minutes at Madhya Pradesh, 45 minutes at Chhattisgarh. But I think it's important we start up by looking at the methodology. So in terms of the methodology in Madhya Pradesh, the dates in which questions were asked were between the 24th and 30th of October. 30 constituencies were covered. The sample size was more than 3,000. Sanjay, this was done face-to-face. That's important because people weren't picking up the phone. How does that add to the value of the answers?
Vishnu, I think two things needs to be told to the viewer. One, the sample may look small, but it is a purely randomized sample. If you do a purely randomized sample, that ensures that your sample is purely representative of the voters of the state. So we have a purely representative sample. So that's very important for any survey. And you have rightly said, these are all face-to-face interviews. Investigators have traveled to the houses of these people who have been interviewed, and none of these interviews have been conducted on telephone. I think these are the two things which adds value to this survey.
All right. Well, let's quickly get started on Madhya Pradesh. Lots of graphics coming up, but a lot of things which a lot of you would have wanted to know about. So let's start on the issue of performance. How are people assessing the incumbent government in Madhya Pradesh, the BJP government? Let's just start up with that, with these points. How do you rate the Shivraj government's performance? Fully satisfied, 27%. 34% said that they were somewhat satisfied. 16% said that they were somewhat dissatisfied. And 18% said they were entirely dissatisfied. How do you rate the central government's performance? Will this be a factor in the minds of people at the state? Well, 34% said they were fully satisfied with the centre's performance. 31% said they were somewhat satisfied. 16% said they were somewhat dissatisfied. And 13% said that they were fully, entirely dissatisfied. On the issue of Kamal Nath versus Shivraj, the big faces as far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned, at the state level for sure, who performed better? 34% of those polled said that they believe that the Kamal Nath government had done better. So we're not looking at them personally, we're looking at the governments that they were in charge with. The Kamal Nath government, 34%, the Shivraj government, 36%. People satisfied with both governments, 13%, dissatisfied with both at 11%. How do you rate the Shivraj government on governance? So we asked about, for example, the state of the roads. 55% said that it had improved the roads. 28% said no. Electricity, 54% said it had improved. 24% said that it had worsened. Water supply, 43% said that it had improved. 32% said that it had worsened. Government hospitals, 36% said that government hospitals had in fact improved. 33% said that it had worsened. So fairly narrow over there. Government schools, 41% said that government schools were better. 24% said that government schools had in fact worsened. So by and large, as you can see with these trends, when it comes to government schemes or programs in key areas, by and large, it's positive for the government. We are not done though, because here's an important factor. Let's talk about women's safety. 36% said women's safety had improved, but as significantly, 36% said that it had actually worsened. So is this a factor? One of the points we'll be looking at. And as far as law and order is concerned, 36% said things had improved, 30% said things had worsened. We're going to move on now, take a look at what's worked for women. Women, such a key part of any election. Well, who has worked more for women is the question. 9% say the state government. 16% have said that it's the centre which has worked. Both 41%. So the large majority say that it's the centre and the state which have worked for women. And 16% said, in fact, no one worked for them. The state of inflation, this is a perennial issue across the country, and very often the answers reflect the state of the economy and concerns. So as far as the state of inflation is concerned, 82% have said that it's increased, 8% say that it's remained the same, 8% say that it has decreased. The state of unemployment in the country, 45% say that unemployment has gone up, 28% say that it's remained the same, and 19% say that it's actually decreased. The state of corruption, again, a perennial issue for elections, and certainly in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. 61% say that it's increased, 20% say that it has decreased, and 14% say that it has remained the same. And decreased, we've got a statistic as well. I believe 20% have said, as you can see that over there, it has decreased. Now, the central government has worked, rate the centre on curbing corruption. So how has the centre done? 34% say very good, 33% said good, 15% say bad, 8% say terrible, very bad. The question which was asked was, rate the state government on curbing corruption. 24% say that the state government has done very well, 39% have said good, 18% have said bad, 10% have said very bad. So a fairly high count over there for the state government. So let's quickly move on and get a couple of answers to a lot of the data that we've actually shared over there. Manisha, let me come to you first. Now, 61% say that they're either fully satisfied or satisfied in the performance of the Shivraj government. Is that, in terms of the issue of leadership, a resounding yes for the BJP government in Madhya Pradesh?
I mean, two things. One, on the satisfaction point and even on the leadership point, the figures seem to match and say that the people there don't really have a strong problem with the Shivraj Singh government. Looking at the figures on satisfaction, highly satisfied and more or less satisfied, they do cross that mark. And when that overlaps with their satisfaction with the central government, you do tend to get an impression that there isn't a genuine grievance against the BJP either in the state or at the center. That's what the figures would look like.
I'm going to move on to another key statistic over here. Kamal Nath versus Shivraj, and it's just, approximately a 2% gap in terms of popularity on the basis of performance between the Chief Minister and the Congress's main face. So people seem happy with the performance of the state government, but it seems to be a close fight between the tallest two leaders. Shankar, would you like to come in on this? That at the personal level, what Kamal Nath has done in the past and what Shivraj is doing now, the gap between the two is quite small. However, as far as the performance of the BJP in terms of governance this time is concerned, most people say, tick mark, yes, they've done well. How would you look at both of these factors?
Well, it's very interesting that, Kamal Nath didn't rule for very long, and Shivraj Chouhan has been there for quite some time. And there seems to be a nostalgic fondness for what Kamal Nath did. He gets 34% for a very short tenure. Shivraj Chouhan, on the other hand, seems to be getting only 36%. Also, there is on the face of it, from all the slides that you've shown, Vishnu, there is no, on the face of it, no anti-incumbency per se. I think this is more a bipolar personality issue. Bipolar is the differences between the central government and the state government. Bipolar in the differences between Kamal Nath and Shivraj Singh Chouhan. I think what would be interesting to see is how the economic factors play out. I think the slides on inflation, unemployment, corruption, all of them point out to great distress at the bottom of the social and economic pyramid. And I think that is where the challenge is, which is why you see multiple voter benefit schemes being unrolled, a lot of emphasis on who's getting what. Those are the things that I think will determine where Madhya Pradesh goes.
We're going to come to those in just a moment. But I also just wanted to point out on roads, electricity, water supply, government hospitals, schools, those polls say things have improved. But on women's safety, there's an equal number, 36%, who say that things have worsened. When it comes to the vote of women, which is crucial, and this is a question for you, Pratyush, is this not a concern that, you know, a large percentage, 36% of women say that on the issue of women's safety, things have actually worsened?
See, you have to look at his whole tenure, Mr. Chauhan's tenure, in a whole larger picture. What has really worked for him is that the education budget, when he took over, was like barely 2,456 crores, 2,456. Now it is 38,000 crores. The Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan is now 7,000 crores. So all these things have helped women get literacy. It has helped women in every way of life. So the biggest question which we face is about the increasing crime, as people say. But you have to trust. He is a very hands-on chief minister. So many at the block level, district level, lot of new initiative has been put by him. And that is the reason why you will see that even after so many years in power, he is as popular as he was. Because when you give health sector improvement, when you give money to education, all these things eventually comes back as development. And Shivraj Singh Chouhan's government, under the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government, is going with a report card of his development, of the work he has done.
Okay.
Rural electrification, toilets, all those things are working. That is why you will say, as the election is closing there, you will see BJP improving by the day.
Okay, Pratyush, we'll get to a lot of those points and schemes, but on the issue of women's safety and security, I think it is a bit of a concern, but we'll address that in a little while. I just wanted to go back to Radhika Khera. Radhika, on the key issue, in terms of the data which we presented, 61% say that they're either fully satisfied or satisfied in the performance of the Shivraj government. If that is the case, some would suggest that the Congress might just be in trouble.
Good evening, Vishnu. But there have been enough surveys that took place in the previous elections also, which completely wrote off the Congress party, whether it was in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, or Rajasthan for that matter. And every time, all those surveys were proved wrong, all opinion polls, and then later the exit polls. And what eventually happened, what we saw in the last election in Madhya Pradesh, was a chori ki sarkar. And the way the Bharatiya Janata Party showed red eyes through democracy right in the face and said that hum to sarkar girayenge no matter who the people choose. So I would not go by these surveys. Like I said, they've always been against the Congress.
No. Radhika, just so that let me jump in over there and let me tell you, Radhika, there's a lot more data you've not seen because we've not presented it. This isn't against anyone per se. If you actually go through a lot of what will come up, you would likely see that there's a lot which works for the Congress as well. So let's not shoot. Let's not shoot the agency which has done it. They've done a very comprehensive one over here. I'm just trying to point out that on the issue of people saying that the state government has done work, a lot of people say yes. But at the same token, the gap between Kamal Nath and Shivraj Chouhan is just 1 or 2 points. So that is an interesting divergence. How would you look at that?
Like I was saying, I'm to repeat myself again, in the previous election also, they had, I remember the Chhattisgarh polls and also over here. People had, even in Madhya Pradesh, the polls had said that Dr. Raman Singh is the face and Shivraj Singh Chouhan is the preferred face, and it's going to be a thumping victory, but that did not happen. And Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh are neighboring states now, and they were one earlier. So whatever happens in both these states affects each other as well. But I will come back to that. Like I was saying, that many polls, I will read out the list of the polls who projected Shivraj Singh Chouhan as the preferred place in the previous elections as well. But the end result was very different. So I would not go back because the ground reality is very different. Where women's security is concerned, because we're talking about women's security here, Madhya Pradesh has always failed the women of Madhya Pradesh. Just look at the number of seats that Madhya Pradesh has given to women. If Bharatiya Janata Party has given to women, they have not even lived up to the 33% reservation bill that they talk about, that they
Okay,
have got
Radhika,
the
we'll talk about these issues. I'll bring more graphics too. But Sanjay, I think you have a right to respond to that. A query from Radhika saying that, we don't believe these polls. How would you respond?
No, I think she has a right to agree or disagree.
Sure.
I can't make a request that please agree to these findings or to say don't agree with this finding. I think we have put out the methodology. Sample is small, as I said, but it is a representative sample, and one should understand what is the data which we are referring to or discussing. It is a people's opinion attitude data, and the data says on the issue of women's safety, it's a divided opinion.
Yeah.
Half of the people say it has come down, and half of the people in Madhya Pradesh say it has improved. This is a limited data which we are discussing at this moment. And if on this point, if you want to disagree, if you want to say that you don't believe on the data, she has every right to do that.
No, I think I have another input to give. I would say
Quickly,
that...
Manisha, before I move on. Yeah.
No, I would say that Shivraj Singh Chouhan had an impeccable image of the mama, and he opened his doors, girls could go and complain, and one of the claims he had was that you could move safely on the roads. If I were the spokesperson of the Congress, which I am not, I would have said that this erosion in figures about a key element of his image as mama is something that would worry me, even if 3,000 randomly sampled people are saying
it is a matter of concern.
There is a matter of concern there. That's how I would look at it.
Let's just quickly move on now to the next set of issues, the next set of graphics, the next set of data, which deals with important issues for people in the state. So what is the most important election issue is the question which was asked. 27% have said price rise, 27% have said unemployment as well. Poverty, 13%, a lack of development, 8%, corruption at 5%. Other issues, 20%. Farmer discontent, again, we'll look at that as closely as we can, given our time constraints. 53% say it's very important, 22% say somewhat important, not much, 17%. The government recruitment scam, is that an election issue, is what people were asked, and 43% said that it is a very important election issue. So therefore, on the issue of corruption, this one, the government recruitment exam scam, 43% said very important, 24% said somewhat important, 19% said not much. Is reservation an election issue? 34% said it is a very important issue, 24% said it is somewhat important, 26% said no, in fact, it's not. The Uniform Civil Code, is that an election issue? Is that something that bothers you? 17% said it is very important. Somewhat important is what 18% said. So not an extremely high number over there. Not much is what 25% said. Cow protection, is that an election issue? Is what we asked a lot of people across the state. 36% said, in fact, that it is very important. 22% said it's somewhat important. 26% said no, not very much. Should Madhya Pradesh hold a caste census? Right? And that's a critical issue across the country now. Huge political ramifications. 44% said yes, 24% said no, 32% said they can't say at this stage. What we're going to look at next, but that's coming up, and I want you to stay put for that, is the entire issue of the big faces. But before we get to that, let's look at some of these graphics. And Shankar, why don't you just, let's look at a couple of the important ones. For example, price rise and unemployment are equal at 27% as an election issue. Interestingly, it's the Aam Aadmi Party which has said that they'll have an unemployment allowance if voted into power. The BJP is focusing on skill development. Do you believe that the issue of unemployment could be an election clincher?
Well, if you range the slides on corruption, on the recruitment issue, on paper leakages, on unemployment, on affordability, on inflation, then it's very clear that a large part of the state has there is distress at the bottom of the pyramid. This is a largely agrarian state. There hasn't been much industrial development, at least in comparison to its neighbors in Gujarat or Maharashtra. And so there is the factor of aspiration. There is also promises made and not delivered kind of thing. And Madhya Pradesh has been part of the old Bimaru state club. Things have improved now. But two factors, Vishnu point out the reason why there is a lack of investment and why there is not enough job creation, and that is basically law and order and the women's safety issues. These are markers that companies and others look at. If you look at the campaign,
yes,
both Kamal Nath and Shivraj Singh Chouhan are promising schemes. Kamal Nath is promising to write off loans further. Shivraj Singh Chouhan had an interest waiver for farm loans. So all of these point out that there is a genuine problem of affordability, which sort of you can look at it as unemployment or you can look at it as inflation.
Sure.
Actually, it's a combination of both.
Avinash, it's interesting that while 63% say that the performance of the government has been good or very good in curbing corruption, it seems that the government recruitment scam remains an issue with, 34% saying that it's a very important issue. It is a concern. How significant is this, in terms of perception, and how would you look at that statistic?
See, Vishnu, you said the paper leak scam, and then we look at unemployment. If you club the two, A, the government is not able to give more employment, and B, whatever little it could afford to give is marred with corruption. And that is going to affect, because listen, a government is going in. Shivraj has been there for close to 2 decades, barring a small 15-month period. So over a long period of time, when you have a voter fatigue, and then you also have these issues which affect the youth, you are in a sort of trouble. And that is one of the reasons that the Congress is thinking that it might turn up. They are looking at, in all their promises, also to give more employment and things. So I think unemployment and lack of development and corruption, they all three combined together do raise a question, because agreed that all pointers are saying that Shivraj might look good, but when you go to the ground, you feel that it's not the same situation. Travel away from the capital city, and there are issues that concern people. So I think corruption and unemployment would be a concern that would bother Shivraj Singh, because he has been around consistently. You just can't say that I've been around. If you look, what is the difference between Shivraj and Kamal Nath? Kamal Nath was just there for 15 months, but still has got a good approval rating, 34 points for him, whereas Shivraj is 36, so the lead is not too substantial. So I think these are numbers that should bother the BJP.
Pratyush, if you look at the issue of farmers being discontented and whether that's an election issue, 53% say that it is in fact a very important issue, the entire issue of farmers. Is that something which the BJP would be looking at very, very closely? I know that you've had many schemes in place already, but in terms of reaching out to farmers, making more promises, is that something which you believe might result in your doing well?
More than 4,000 crores has been dispersed to the farmers who needed the money. You see, you have to understand how BJP in Madhya Pradesh functions. We don't promise, we guarantee. And when we guarantee, we deliver. 70 schools, Eklavya schools, directly benefiting the farmers and their families. There are so many things happening at the ground level which people overlook here. To stay in power for such a long time doesn't happen without development. Today we are going, all top leadership is there, they are contesting elections, a lot of people are there. We have so much to show in Madhya Pradesh. From farmers to women to development at the lowest level of the system. It has all happened because Shivraj Singh Chouhan ji has been a hands-on chief minister. He had a clear vision, he was in touch with people, and then people of Madhya Pradesh has been seeing two things. You must make a note of that. The fight between Digvijay Singh and Kamal Nath and the corruption surrounding Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, scams from Karnataka, Rajasthan. People are very wise today. You are not, Madhya Pradesh, don't look at Madhya Pradesh in isolation. Madhya Pradesh has examples to give that we will become like Chhattisgarh if Congress comes to power. There is corruption. Now you take money from betting scam people also. People are seeing all
just
that.
Just from that point, I haven't understood. Madhya Pradesh will become
Chauhan government
like
is also delivering. It's also delivering.
Madhya Pradesh will become Chhattisgarh, you mentioned in what context? I haven't understood that.
In corruption, sir. In corruption, sir. This is what people are seeing. They are seeing Chhattisgarh turning out to be the most corrupt states when the chief minister is directly
we'll talk
involved
about corruption in Chhattisgarh in the next part of the program. But let Radhika reply to
some scamster.
Okay, I get your point. Radhika, would you like to reply to that, saying that corruption is an issue? Yeah, dodging the Congress across the country.
Very unfortunately, the Bharatiya Janata Party spokesperson has not done his homework well. Sir, I would like to remind you, when you're talking about corruption and your election department that has just labelled out the chief minister's name and said that you should read the election department of yours, the ED's press release, which says these are matters subject to investigation. They have not been investigated yet. It is the Chhattisgarh government which has issued a lookout notice to get those people arrested in Dubai. But your government, the central government, whose responsibility it is to ensure that those people are arrested, are still not done and they're still absconding. It is the central government's responsibility to ensure that the Mahadev app is banned, yet it continues to flourish under the rule of the Bharatiya Janata Party Modi government. It is not in the hands of the state government. And it was your government, 15 years of Dr. Raman Singh, that was lived in corruption, jise kehte hain. And the same thing is happening in Madhya Pradesh also, where it is the students since 2018. So the constable, sub-inspector and constable की भर्ती के तक आप लोगों ने वहाँ पे नहीं निकाले. The exams have taken place. The youth have crossed the age, waiting to give the exams. And it's not just that, even in medical, everywhere.
Okay. All right. So several examples that you raise of corruption, it's one party's word versus the other. I think that reflects the fact that is going to be certainly a big issue in the states we're looking at. We're going to actually come back after a short break. And once we do that, perhaps the part of the MP analysis, which a lot of people would be looking at, Shivraj Singh Chouhan, his personal popularity. What about Kamal Nath? All that and a lot more after this quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Faces and Schemes is what we are looking at in our public opinion of Madhya Pradesh. And on this program, we'll be looking in a little while at the state of Chhattisgarh as well. We've looked at various aspects of Madhya Pradesh. We've looked at the performance of the government. We are on now to the popularity of the leaders, the big leaders. Now, in terms of what the leaders actually have to say, let's bring up those graphics on our stage right now in terms of who should be Madhya Pradesh's chief minister. That's what we are looking at this stage. 38% Shivraj Singh Chouhan, 34% are in favor of Kamal Nath. Let's move on now with this set of graphics as we look at the entire issue of faces. In terms of other names, Jyotiraditya Scindia at 4%, Narendra Singh Tomar at 2%, anyone from the Congress at 6%, anyone from the BJP at 4%. So really, Shivraj Chouhan and Kamal Nath, 4 percentage points separating them at as far as who should be Madhya Pradesh's chief minister. On the issue of party versus candidate, what matters more? 37% say the party matters more, 30% say the candidate matters more, 10% say it's the chief minister's face that matters, 10% say it's the Narendra Modi factor, and 5% say it's the Rahul Gandhi factor. Based on the BJP's Jan Ashirwad Yatra, who will you vote for? We're looking at various schemes from at this stage. 57% say the BJP, 33% say the Congress, 10% say others. Based on the Congress party's Jan Akrosh Yatra, who will you vote for? Is the next question that we asked. 41% said it's the BJP, 49% said it's the Congress, 10% said it's the other. It is a Congress scheme program, the Jan Akrosh Yatra itself. Did Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra help the Congress? 38% said yes, 22% said no, 40% say that they cannot say. This is interesting because this is different, in fact, from what we saw in Rajasthan yesterday. The Mukhyamantri Awas Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 59% said the BJP, 38% said the Congress party. The Ladli Behna Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 48% said the BJP, 42% said the Congress. The Kisan Fasal Bima Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 46% said the BJP, 42% said the Congress. The Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 57% said the BJP, 37% said the Congress. The Ayushman Bharat Yojana, who will the beneficiaries, who do they favor, who will they vote for? 51% said the BJP, 40%. The Ujjwala Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 48% said the BJP, 43% said the Congress party. Now, these are central schemes. Obviously, they affect the state government, and in almost all of them, there is a strong sense that these have gone down well. But let me just come across to Avinash once again on the issue of the big face, the big name, 38% versus 34% in favor of Shivraj Singh Chouhan when people were asked who should the MP Chief Minister be. How heavily is the Congress therefore banking on Kamal Nath, particularly since 61% seem to have been happy with the performance of the Shivraj government?
It's a big gamble for the Congress, but he's their only hope. He's their only leader who has got them into power once, and he's the one who's been ruling the roost for the party in the last 3.5 years that they've been out of the power. But it's very important and heartening because Vishnu, one more figure that you showed was that close to 30% people vote based on candidates. And that is also going to be very important looking at that the fact that Shivraj has a clear lead despite being in power for 18 years. There are 74 such seats in Madhya Pradesh where the Congress hasn't won in the last 3 elections. So their chances of, even banking on Mr. Kamal Nath's faith is reduced a lot because there is a huge chunk of seats that they have not won. And if we compare a similar number for the BJP, there are only 11 such seats that they have not won in the last 3 consecutive elections. So a 38% rating for Shivraj Singh Chouhan is a very, very strong number for the BJP. They should fancy their chances here. Whereas the only glimmer of hope for the Congress is Mr. Kamal Nath, because the other names that even what we look, the remaining 2 are also from the BJP.
Manisha, would you like to add to this? Resoundingly in favor of Shivraj Chouhan at a couple of levels, while the gap might be quite small, relatively small at 4%. The fact that governance, and when people were asked about governance, more than 60% said yes. Add that governance along with his name being the favored one, it seems to be people are okay with what has happened so far.
So I agreed with this at the beginning and would continue to agree with what I've said. But just the figures, if you look at it, I'm surprised with the schemes when you show it. All those schemes are either centrally sponsored schemes from the center, Pradhan Mantri,
yes,
Awas Yojana, etc., or the Ujjwala scheme. Now, that the Congress should be getting any figure at all on those schemes, that surprises me. Look at the Mukhyamantri Awas Yojana, clearly a scheme of the incumbent sitting chief minister, 59%, 38%. So why is anybody who's getting the CM's housing Yojana even saying that I'm going to vote there? Now you similarly see for the Ujjwala Yojana. So I would say that at this point of time, Definitely, Shivraj has been able to buck a lot of the anti-incumbency with the performance of the schemes and whatever traditional image he has. But there is something working on the ground.
This is close. See, 48-43% in the
look at
Ujjwala
this. I
scheme.
mean, why should anybody getting the Ujjwala Yojana, and the Congress in Madhya Pradesh has not been raining schemes like Gehlot has been in Rajasthan. So the point is that not being in a seat of power and still grabbing the share surprises me. And that share is not small, like 2% or something. It's quite there.
Sanjay, how would you explain that? All these schemes.
Look at Ladli Behna Yojana, which is just 1 second.
When a voter goes out to vote, this is not the only consideration.
Yeah.
You have several considerations in your mind. So what the data indicates is that you are the beneficiaries of that scheme. But if being a beneficiary does not mean that you are going to give all your votes to BJP. So there are several other considerations. Party is an important consideration. Candidates is an important consideration. If you look at caste by voting, that's an important consideration. So you have one vote and several considerations. So may not be people who are trying to vote, who intend to vote for Congress, even if they are a beneficiary of either Ujjwala scheme or any other scheme of the BJP government. Maybe the consideration may be very, very different. Maybe they are looking at the party, they are looking at the chief minister.
Vishnu, one small point, the figure for Ladli Behna, which is...
Let's pull up that figure for Ladli Behna.
It's being touted as a trump card. And the one image of Shivraj Singh Chouhan that I remember is the Mama image. And there are girls cycling on the roads who have told me in earlier elections that we can even knock at his door and he or his wife will listen to us. Now look at the fact that you have 48% to the BJP and 42% for the Congress. I mean, why on earth should a Labharthi of the Ladli Behna be saying that equally I'm going to go on this side as much as that? So clearly there's something more behind the figures that needs to be understood, and there may be multiple reasons, but the fact is that people are split and divided and they are thinking this or that.
We haven't had time to discuss this because I need to move on, but it's important that we just covered that 38% say Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo has helped the Congress government. It's interesting that in some states, Rajasthan, for example, that's not something which people have favored. But in the case of Madhya Pradesh, it has. But is the impact of that fading? Is that something which is going to be a real factor? We'll have to wait and see. But let's move on now to socio-economic factors in these elections. And let's just run through some of the graphics that we have over here. So in terms of demographics, socio-demographic factors in these elections, 46% of women say that they're going to vote for the BJP. 44% of women say that they'll go with the Congress. So the BJP narrowly ahead of the Congress. That is extremely significant, but it's a trend that we've seen, or a pattern, in Rajasthan as well, the BJP picking up among women voters. In terms of men, 41% say that they'll vote for the BJP, 41% say equal that they'll vote for the Congress. That's all very interesting. In terms of the rural-urban divide, let's look at urban first. 55% of people in urban areas will vote for the BJP. 35% of people in urban areas will vote for the Congress party. In rural areas, 39% will vote for the BJP and 44% will vote for the Congress. If you look at this in terms of a couple of socioeconomic markers, poverty, for example, 35% will vote for the BJP. Significantly, 48% will vote for the Congress. If you look at those in the lower middle class strata, 38% will vote for the BJP, 44% for the Congress. If you look at the middle class, this is a core strength of the BJP, 50% for the BJP, 38% for the Congress party. And among the wealthy, 63% will vote for the BJP, 29% for the Congress. Among the tribal population, 36% for the BJP, but much, much larger for the Congress at 53%. And finally, if you look at Muslims, 6% for the BJP, a traditional area of strength for the Congress party at 85%. Now, let's take a look at something which underwrites all elections or in our country, certainly most of them, the caste factor. Now, if you look at the OBC community, 50% are in favor of the BJP, 33% are in favor of the Congress. Among Dalit voters, 32% are in favor of the BJP, 50% for the Congress. And when asked if their condition has improved, how do you see the condition of Dalits and tribals? 30% of Dalits say that their condition is improved, 36% say that their condition is worsened. As far as the tribal population is concerned, 29% of those who were asked questions say that things have improved, 34% say that in fact things have worsened. Which party do farmers support? 43% say the Congress party, 36% say the BJP, and 21% say others. Let's just go across to Sujata Paul of the Congress party, who joins us at this stage. Sujata, 46% of women polled say that they will vote for the BJP, 44% for the Congress. So it's not bad for the Congress party per se, but this is a trend that we've seen in Rajasthan as well. More women are supporting the BJP. Is this an area where the Congress is losing an advantage that it used to hold?
Certainly not. Just wait and watch, and women are going to go all out and vote for the Congress party. Because if you look at Madhya Pradesh, the Anganwadi workers, the women in the rural areas, they are all out on the streets. Why? Because the government has not even, agreed to having talks with them. And if they have issues, they should be spoken to. But across communities, women want the Congress party because they have seen both governments now. And the last time around, the manner in which the government was brought down in Madhya Pradesh, that is something that the women are upset about, as are the men. So women voters are certainly going to be voting for the Congress party. They definitely want your cylinders at 500 rupees. If you remember, in Rajasthan also, the Prime Minister doesn't know what he's saying. He says that we'll give you cylinders for 600 rupees. So what is the rate of the cylinders going to be in Madhya Pradesh? 600 rupees. But is it going to solve the problems of women as far as their children are concerned, who have no employment? There are paper leaks, and there are so many other issues happening in Madhya Pradesh.
Sure.
The scam is there to haunt them. And if you notice what they've done, they have said they have got their MPs, their ministers to contest elections. And this is such a farce, because one nation, one election is what they talk about. Supposing all elections were to take place now, would these people be contesting MP elections or MLA? Okay. And that means that these people are not going to be there. It is on Mr. Modi's name that they are going into elections, and Shivraj Chouhan,
and that name considerably ahead of Rahul Gandhi at this stage. I mean, that was one of the points that we looked at. 5% for Rahul Gandhi, 10% said that they would vote in favor of the BJP because of Narendra Modi. So that is a factor.
That's fine. So that means, but people are also recognizing another thing. See, it might be different when it comes to Lok Sabha election. You can project Mr. Narendra Modi, but is Mr. Narendra Modi going to be the chief minister? That is a question that people are asking, and people should not be underestimated. After so many years, now people are understanding what the BJP is all about.
Let's see what finally happens. But Shankar, I wanted to come to you on this. There's a massive jump of the BJP, 20% over the Congress in urban areas, while the Congress has a 5% lead in rural areas. Why is the Congress in Madhya Pradesh not an attractive option for urban voters?
I think the question is really, why is the BJP not a preferred party for voters in the rural area, considering that they've been in power for 18 years? And so if you look at the caste configuration, the slides that you showed, the Dalits, the tribals, the farmers, these make the bulk of the rural population. Then you add the issues of unemployment, you add the issue of inflation and corruption. So there is a commonality across this. And either there is a lot of anger at the second, third quintiles of the population against the party. I mean, maybe they want more. I mean, in a lot of the slides you see the Congress getting credit for schemes that are state government schemes or BJP schemes, as Manisha mentioned. But probably they expect that the promises of the Congress are higher. The farmers' issue, for instance, Kamal Nath is remembered for the loan waiver.
Avinash, I'm just going to ask you to, I'm just going to go across to Avinash for a second, Shankar, on that issue of farmers before I move on. You know, farmer issues have been huge in MP. 43% in fact say that they back the Congress. From farm loan waivers to the non-availability of seeds, fertilizer shortages, etc. The Congress and the BJP have really been going at each other on this, sparring at each other. How important, Avinash, do you believe that this farmer issue will be in these elections?
It's certainly going to be very important, and farmer issue is something that Congress is harping on in all three states, even if it is Chhattisgarh, or we look at Ashok Gehlot in Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh, because ever since the farmer right agitation took place, that vote bank has been moving away from the BJP, and the BJP has been trying all its ends to get that vote across. And the communities that are there in the farming community are also moving out, like call them the Jats or the rural population. So they are all moving out, and that is the serious concern for the BJP, that they are not able to get farmers together. So it's not just a matter for Madhya Pradesh. We have seen that in Rajasthan as well as in Chhattisgarh. All these three states, Congress is banking a lot on the farmer support this time around.
Well, that's what we have so far as Madhya Pradesh is concerned, but there's a lot more coming up on this program. Chhattisgarh next, that's coming up right after this short break. Welcome back to a very special program. We were looking at Madhya Pradesh in the last segment. What are people thinking about key factors ahead of the elections? We're going to turn our attention now to Chhattisgarh. But before we do that, it's interesting to look once again at the methodology of what's happened in Chhattisgarh. How has it actually been done by CSDS? Sanjay is going to fill us in on that. But in terms of when the poll was done, the 24th to the 30th of October, the constituencies covered were 25. The sample size, 2,541. What were some of the methods which you used across the state?
Nothing different, Vishnu. If you look at the days, the survey was conducted in the same time period in Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh. We had a smaller sample in Chhattisgarh compared to Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan because Chhattisgarh is a slightly smaller state, 90 constituencies, so we picked up a smaller sample. But again, the methodology remains the same, randomized sample and a face-to-face interview. As I said earlier, this is the strength of this survey.
All right, we're going to quickly move on now. First up, let's look at the theme of performance, the performance of the Baghel government in Chhattisgarh. So the question which was asked is, how do you rate the Baghel government's performance? 34% said that they were fully satisfied. 45% said that they were somewhat satisfied. 9% said that they were somewhat dissatisfied. 10% said that they were entirely dissatisfied. So between fully satisfied and somewhat satisfied, that is a huge number in favor of the Baghel government's performance. How do you rate the central government's performance? 42% said fully satisfied, 38% said somewhat, 11% said somewhat dissatisfied, and 6% said that they were entirely dissatisfied. How do you rate the Baghel government on performance in specific areas? Let's look at the state of the roads. 56% said things were better, 27% said things were worse. Electricity, 64% said electricity was better off, 17% said things were worse. Drinking water, 53% said drinking water availability had gone up, 53% said it had improved, 26% said it had worsened. The state of government hospitals, 56% said things had improved, 22% said they had worsened. Government schools, 64% said things had improved, 17% said things had become worse. The condition of tribals, which is a critical factor in the state, 45% said things had improved, 21% said things had worsened. In terms of dealing with Naxal insurgency, which has been a problem over here for the last decade and a half at a very high level, 30% said things had improved, 22% said in fact things had not improved. The condition of farmers, 61% said farmers, their condition had improved, 20% had said no. We're going to move on, take a look at the condition. Which government has worked more for women? 18% said the state government, 29% said the centre, 39% said both. No one really worked for women, 7%. The state of inflation, similar to what we've been asking in other states, 76% said that inflation has gone up, 10% said it's remained the same, 12% said that it's decreased. The state of unemployment, 40% say that unemployment in the last 5 years has gone up, 20% say that it has remained the same, 35% say that it's actually decreased. The state of corruption, 62% say that it's gone up. Now, this is interesting because if it's gone up and yet in terms of governance, people saying that this government has done well. So 62% say it's increased, 21% say it's decreased, 13% say that it has remained. Let me just quickly go across to the BJP at this stage and try to get a quick response over there from Pratyush. The performance of the Baghel government remains strong, Pratyush. 74% are either fully satisfied or satisfied, either fully satisfied or satisfied. So some would suggest no real anti-incumbency here at all. Does this indicate that people are still happy here with the change that happened in 2018 when the Congress came to power after what, a 15-year-old rule by the BJP?
You know, Rahul Gandhi came there when they were fighting the election and gave 316 promises. Not one has been fulfilled. Not one. You will be surprised to know that the Modi government offered that we'll give 6,000 rupees to the farmers. They could not verify the farmers till date about the scams. Alcohol scam worth 2,000 crore, PDS scam worth 6,000 crore, coal scam worth 2,000 crore, forest department scam worth 4,000 crore. The scam is endless. And now to add to all that, we have got this betting scam where the chief is directly involved. This is what I was trying to make a point. I did not get time that time. That in Madhya Pradesh, in the contrast, you see a double engine government working. Modi as well as Chouhan's government. So you will be surprised to see that so many, 71 lakh women get houses there, 5.8 crore family, 5.18 lakh families get corona time rations there, 6.25 lakh girls get married, even lakh people are given loans between 5,000 to 50,000 to small businesses, 3,600 crore given to old people as pension. So something that transforms on the ground is what gets you vote. In Baghel's government, they were using all the advertisements and doling out stuff what Kejriwal was doing in Delhi. And now, when the election was round the corner and people started realizing, oh, there are scams after scams, and seeing what is happening in Karnataka.
Okay, we look at scams because they have
cash.
The Congress has allegations on the BJP as well. But hold on. Let me get a reaction. You've raised lots of points. Sujata Paul, how would you actually respond to a couple of points saying that there's corruption, there are other issues, and you have not delivered on key programs?
Well, the BJP spokesperson cannot complete a sentence or begin his statement without talking about Rahul Gandhi ji and attacking him. However, when we talk about the BJP government has ignored all its local leaders in every state. And when they talk about what they have delivered, it is only corruption and the way they treated the Dalits in Chhattisgarh. However, in the Gramin Bhumihin Nyay Yojana, we have given money to people. So when people who have been landless find that they are getting leases and they are going to get leases if they haven't, and they are getting money into their accounts, it speaks for itself and people speak. It is not Mr. Modi who will speak from the center. Now, when you are talking about the paddy, the highest price of paddy is being given to farmers of Chhattisgarh, where it will soon be 2,800 rupees per quintal. Can the BJP match up with it? No, they can't. Now, because of this increased MSP and the input subsidy which they are getting, which the farmers are getting under the Rajiv Gandhi Kisan Nyay Yojana, farmers will start getting even higher prices after some time in the next term, which will be 3,600 per quintal. Can they match up to it? No, they can't. Now, as far as the cow dung is concerned, we know that there was about 280,000 quintals of cow dung, which was purchased in Godhans in the second fortnight of July itself this year. So can they match up to
All right, so we'll have to wait and see. One sec, I see you got your entire list over there, but I've got my entire list of graphics as well. The condition, Manisha, and this is a question for you, the condition of tribals has clearly improved, but smaller parties can upset the tribal vote, some would suggest. And if that happens, then the calculations of bigger parties could be affected. For example, the tribal leader Arvind Netham resigned from the Congress. He's formed his own political party. Is this a factor?
No, I mean, I would say across the two states, the tribal votes seem to be aligned and inclined more towards the Congress, and very clearly so. So under these circumstances, the smaller parties have a lesser role. As much as you have one leader who's gone over. There's also Kantilal Bhuria ji in Madhya Pradesh. So what I see is a very clear alignment in Chhattisgarh, which is a pro-Raman Singh alignment across various bars and graphs, including the issue of tribals. But certainly, so barring the corruption issue, which seems to be the real charge, so the BJP, if it has to get back onto Raman Singh, corruption seems to be the real handle by which they can take him. The issue is whether they can create a statewide movement which can cut across the different classes and layers, and certainly to take away the scheduled tribe votes. Will corruption be a factor for scheduled tribe voters? Now that would be the question to ask. Now if not, then the BJP will have to match corruption with certain pockets that are strategically targeted towards the scheduled tribes. So the only way the BJP can get it back is merging corruption charges against Raman Singh government with some focus on the scheduled tribe. That's the way to take it back.
Shankar,
interestingly, I don't see the woman issue playing up as much in Chhattisgarh as it did in Madhya Pradesh.
We'll try and come back to that as well, bring up that data. But Shankar, on farmer issues, 61% say that the condition of farmers has actually improved. Is this a thumbs up for the farm loan waiver, for example, which was announced by the Congress in 28? The entire issue of raising the minimum support price for farmers is that what this is all about?
I think it's a combination of factors, the land lease arrangements that are being made, at least promised. There's also the fact that, giving minimum support price at these high levels has assuaged some of the farmer distress. It might also be contributing to some of the inflation there. And overall, because if procurement prices keep going up like this, it is going to visit another part of the economy. Nothing in the economy is a free lunch. So I think what the data and the slides reflect, Vishnu, is that there has been greater attention to the bottom of the pyramid in Chhattisgarh, and that seems to be paying off.
All right. We're going to move on now, take a quick look at the next set of graphics where we're looking at issues, the key issues in the state. And the first question that we need to look at is, what is the most important election issue? Perhaps the most fundamental of all issues over here. 28% say unemployment, 14% say price rise, 12% say poverty, 8% say drinking water, 6% say a lack of development, 6% say farmer distress, 26% say other issues. How important are the following issues is what we've posed, and we raised this and we asked. Cow protection, 71% said that cow protection is an important issue. Reservation, 61%. The recruitment exam scam, 52% said this is very important. The issue of Naxalism in the state, 31% said it remains a very big issue. Should Chhattisgarh hold a caste census? 67% said yes. 19% said no. 14% said that they cannot say at this stage. So let's just look at some of the issues over here. Manisha, 71% say cow protectionism is important for them. In terms of the Hindutva agenda, as it were, Is Baghel actually on a stronger wicket here than other Congress states, from various cow protection schemes to the renovation of the Mata Kaushalya temple, etc., etc.? There's a lot which this government has actually done for that cause. So is this something that the Congress may be turning the tables on the BJP on?
So the Narwa Ghurwa program, really, where you're able to buy back at 2 rupees a kg, the Kaushalya Van Gaman Path, etc., and portraying the image of, Baghel as a Chhattisgarhia, but also a Bhanja, because Kaushalya was supposed to be belonging to this area. So they're all now portraying the tricks that were used by the BJP earlier. And remember, I don't know why Shivraj Singh is unable to do that this time now. He's been one of those who's been able to merge the Ram issue with the farmer issue very successfully in the past. Now this time around, you see some of those lessons being done in another neighboring state, the state of Chhattisgarh, by Raman Singh. But what he's definitely done is, and that is the caste census issue, and you can see that the polity is moved towards the more towards the mandal type parameters, a certain definite OBC image, which has been merged with, coming together of the religious icons. So no problems here between having a religious image or icon, being an OBC leader and being a farmer leader.
Sure.
So that merger is a unique proposition for the state of Chhattisgarh, which until now with the BJP had been under the rule of the mostly the forward caste. So one would see that Chhattisgarh once again, just like Bihar, etc., won't be able to turn the tide on this and say that let's be in the pre-Mandal era.
Right.
And I would say that the caste domination moving towards the bottom of the pyramid, towards the socially marginalized caste, political leadership going there, that seems to be a change in the Chhattisgarh polity now.
I'm also joined by my colleague Sunil Prabhu. Sunil, a couple of issues, and I want to talk about corruption once again. There's the entire issue of the Mahadev app, which is broken. There have been very strong allegations made by the BJP against the Congress. Then significantly there is, in terms of our data, Sunil, 52% say that the recruitment exam scam was a problem. In fact, Raman Singh has been talking about corruption across the board: coal mining, liquor, trade, betting. Is this where the Congress could be weak?
Well, yes and no, because as you rightly show in that survey, the deep level of satisfaction. It's Chhattisgarh is a little bit more nuanced state. It's a little bit more different, and as you know, it's primarily agrarian. And the crux of the matter is the fact that in the state where nobody's talking about, for example, the loan waiver that the Congress has done. That's become an emotive issue, which the BJP hasn't been able to do so. If you really look and analyze the BJP manifesto, it's ahead of the Congress manifesto, which will be released tomorrow. Competitive populism is taking place. 3,100 is what Mr. Amit Shah announced as the per quintal for the farmers. The Congress is expected to release that manifesto tomorrow, and what we have been told is it will be 3,600. This is primarily aimed at gaining voters, so it's definitely something that we have to take into account. It's clearly corruption is an issue. It's definitely an issue. But as you have seen across the states, how much it will make an impact in rural areas is something that we will have to wait and watch. It's definitely an urban issue, but whether it gets translated into agrarian as well as in the rural society is anybody's guess.
Pratyush, would you like to come in? Would you say that corruption is perhaps the one issue that the BJP is really banking on? 52% say the recruitment exam scam was a problem. Now this Mahadev app business?
You see, for us in the BJP, it's all about development. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has totally made it clear that we have to go with a very positive report card to the people of all these 5 states where elections are taking place. Corruption is a very big issue. If the government is corrupt, it will directly going to hit the development of the state. Now look at Baghel's corruption story. It starts from forest scam, coal scam, PDS, alcohol, you name it, they have a scam. They are linked with all kind of scamsters. See, you are all forgetting one thing, that Narendra Modi government has managed to pull the government, the people of all these states. Narendra Modi factory is a very big factory in all the states. The chief ministers, they are Baghel is banking on the people he is getting money to pay. This huge amount of cash which is being moved why is it being moved? It is being moved because he knows that he has lost the ground from within his feet. He has to pay to people to win election. In our case, we are very clear. We will give a program, we'll tell what we are going to do, and our promises are delivered. It's not like Rahul Gandhi's promises that he comes and gives those promises. All these things are being watched very closely by people of Chhattisgarh. And let me tell you, my karyakartas who are there in Chhattisgarh are every day giving us an update that Baghel is running for the whole thing because he thinks that he can bank on all the money which he has made through all these people. He has a network of corruption which was working there.
Okay, let's just get a quick
we are trying to break that network and go to people with developmental issues.
Let's, Sujata, 30 seconds to reply. I want to go to the big issue of faces, the big leaders up next. Sujata, go ahead.
The BJP cannot speak without taking the name of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and you've seen that. So it is not about development, Mr. Kant. It's all about one man, and that's Mr. Modi. That's all you can talk about. These are state elections, local issues. You haven't spoken about that. Your promises are no promises because they are raveries, according to you. They are jumlas, according to Mr. Amit Shah. But for us, these are social welfare schemes, and we have delivered. What report card are you talking about? Mr. Raman Singh's report card, because of which he was thrown out of power. The fact is that you're only trying to set a narrative. There is no corruption, and these bags of money that you're talking about, you have money bags in your party. All the corrupt people are today.
All right, everybody accuses each other of having money bags. I suspect on this program we won't get to know any further on who actually does. But I think let's move on to a really important aspect in all of this. Personalities do drive election results in India. We've seen that in recent times at so many levels. So let's take a look at faces, the big faces, and who should be the next chief minister of Chhattisgarh. That's the question that we are looking at. This is one of the big ones. 39% say Bhupesh Baghel, the incumbent. 24% say Raman Singh. 8% say Brij Mohan Agarwal. 4% say T.S. Singh Deo. And 7% say anyone from the BJP. So that's a big one, a big gap between Bhupesh Baghel, who is the chief minister, and Raman Singh of the BJP. The party versus candidate, what matters more? 36% say it's the candidate that matters more. 32% say it's the party that matters more. That's in keeping perhaps with the previous statistic as well. The chief minister's face, 15% say that it is the chief minister's face that matters for them. 10% say that they're going to be voting in the name of Narendra Modi. 3% say that they're going to be voting in the name of Rahul Gandhi. In terms of a couple of schemes, the half electricity bill scheme, who will the beneficiaries vote for in this? 49% say the Congress party, 35% say the BJP. The old pension scheme, this has been a big demand at many levels. Who will the beneficiaries vote for? Again, it's the Congress at 46, the BJP at 35. In terms of the Godhanya Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 53% say the Congress, 32% say the BJP. Loan waivers, we briefly discussed that. For farmers, who will the beneficiaries vote for? And this is a big gap between the Congress and the BJP, 49%. This is something which the Congress has promised, and 49% say that it is something that will benefit the Congress. The Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? This is a central government scheme. 49% say, in fact, they'll vote for the Congress, 30% for the BJP. So this is all entirely in favor of the Congress party. And I think of all the polls that we've done so far, it does appear that people are inclined towards the Congress party, certainly on the basis of the questions that we've asked over here in this poll. The Ayushman Bharat Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 47% say the Congress, 37% say the BJP. The Ujjwala Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 48% say the Congress, 34% say the BJP. And the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, who will the beneficiaries vote for? 45% say the Congress party and 40% say the BJP. So again, irrespective of where the scheme actually comes from. People are willing to go with the Congress party over here. So let's actually look at the big one over here. And Avinash, let me come to you. There's a significant 15% gap between Bhupesh Baghel and Raman Singh. Add to that the fact that governance appears to have resonated with people. Is this combined essentially a clincher so far, at least in terms of this exit poll for the Congress party?
Vishnu, right from the word go, Mr. Bhupesh Baghel has maintained the tempo that he is the face in all the 4.5 years. And the only challenge that he has got was from his own party colleague, T.S. Singh Dev. There has been nothing that BJP has been able to do for him. So he has maintained the tempo, he has championed the Kisans, and he has also beaten the BJP on its game of Hindutva. Many in Chhattisgarh say he is more Hindu than any other BJP Hindu could be. So be it cow scheme or anything, Bhupesh Baghel hasn't put a wrong foot forward in the last 4.5+ years. And that shows in the number that why he is the leading choice. And while we've been talking on all development issues and things that the BJP is talking, they haven't been able to develop an alternative leadership in Chhattisgarh, and that helped Bhupesh Baghel a lot. The biggest face was Mr. Raman Singh, and he was kept out of the picture for close to 4 years and 10 months. Only recently has been brought in, and that hasn't added much to their score. So Bhupesh Baghel has a clear advantage here. I don't see any challenge to him in this election.
Sanjay, 10% say that they'll vote in the name of Prime Minister Modi. Only 3% say that they'll vote in the name of Rahul Gandhi. Is that perhaps the biggest differential that the BJP is counting on in the state of Chhattisgarh, where, as you can see, in so many areas, it seems to be the Congress which is ahead? It is a fact that in state after state, Rahul Gandhi just cannot match the popularity of Narendra Modi.
Vishnu, if you go by the data, we have already shown the data for Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and now for Chhattisgarh. In all the 3 states, it is very clear. If you try and compare Prime Minister Modi's ability to add votes for BJP, and if you match it with Rahul Gandhi's ability to pull votes for the Congress, there is a huge difference. If you look at among all the BJP voters in all the 3 states, roughly 18 to 20% of BJP's vote is being contributed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. That's not the case with Congress. So if I look at the data in other states as well, Prime Minister Modi is roughly contributing between almost 1/4 of vote to the BJP, which is not the case with Rahul Gandhi. I'm not saying that Rahul Gandhi is a liability, but his ability, the central leadership ability to pull votes for the party in different state assembly election is put to a big question mark.
I just wanted to go across to my colleague Sunil Prabhu. Do we still have Sunil? Okay, we don't have Manisha. Maybe you might be able to take this. The impact of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, 37% have said that it will not have an impact over here. Now, we've seen even in Rajasthan, it's unlikely to have some sort of a decisive impact. Is public memory short, or is that an idea, Bharat Jodo, whose time has come and gone?
You can argue it both ways. The only way that Rahul Gandhi has got traction and is able to go and do the rallies that he's able to do is because of the efforts that he made for Bharat Jodo Yatra. So certainly to establish him, it has had a role. But when you go to the people, you find that the benefits that the Bharat Jodo Yatra has had for Rahul Gandhi is not the same as saying that that's the kind of popular resurgence towards if you see the plus factors also, it's quite clear that Raman Singh seems to be quite ahead. Now, that quite ahead is on account of various schemes, the image that he's got, and Rahul Gandhi seems to be no longer a liability, but at least a performing asset there. So Rahul Gandhi certainly has gained with the Bharat Jodo Yatra. It's an image makeover for him. He's able to go and campaign. But as Sanjay rightly said, he may not be pulling the votes. Those votes are coming because of an incumbent chief minister in the state of Chhattisgarh being able to resolve issues. Large parts of Chhattisgarh, remember, are rural.
Yes.
So getting the farmer issue right. And it's raining bonuses. Remember, the current MSP with the central government MSP plus the state level top-up is at 2,800. The BJP then goes and tops it up to 3,100. And the Congress then says, okay, so much more. So you can see that in a sense, therefore, it's a game of top-up. The first level of 2,200 is being given by the central government. The state government gives only the
Sure.
600 top-up of that. So only on the basis of top-ups, which means only by paying an additional 600 rupees, if he's been able to carve out an image for himself, I would say he's a very clever politician.
Sure.
In the past also, Raman Singh, for example, had been able to get an image of Chawal Baba, Chaur Baba,
Yeah.
and played the PDS card.
Yeah.
But I think playing the farmer card and merging it with some amount of being the Bhanja of Kaushalya and being the Chhattisgarhiya has paid off very well for Baghel, Bhupesh Baghel. And I think his delivery on key constituents of his state have mattered more. The BJP has a chance, but definitely by just getting...
It seems to be an uphill battle, whichever way you actually look at it.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the final set of data we have on this program. We started with Madhya Pradesh. We're now in Chhattisgarh. The final set of data looks at demographics. And the key socio-economic demographic factor, women and men, 42% of those who we polled said that they would actually vote for Congress. 36% said that they would vote for the BJP. As far as men are concerned, 46% said Congress, 34% said BJP. Let's reflect on this for a moment. A significant, it's a change over here compared to Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan. More women voting for the Congress as opposed to the BJP, and in the case of men as well. That is quite interesting. As far as the urban-rural divide is concerned, 36% in favor of the Congress, 34% in favor of the BJP. In rural areas, 46% in favor of the Congress, 35% in favor of the BJP. Let's take a look at young people, the youth factor in the state. This is so important. 38% are in favor of the Congress. The BJP narrowly ahead. But this is typically an area where the BJP is considerably ahead lately of the Congress party. But over here, it's almost even Stevens. Among the elderly, 35% are in favor of the BJP, 50% in favor of the Congress. Let's take a look at the caste factor in these elections. If you look at the OBC community, 45% will vote for the Congress party, 37% for the BJP. If you look at upper castes, 24% Congress, 50% BJP. And finally, Dalits and tribals, 50% of Dalits in favor of the Congress party, 24% in favor of the BJP. And among tribals, 42% for the Congress, 36% for the BJP. So those are important numbers. Let me just bring in Sanjay over here. You know, upper OBCs, lower OBCs, Dalits and tribals, other than upper caste, which has clearly been dominated by the BJP, do you believe that the Congress have the caste factor in Chhattisgarh essentially wrapped up? Sanjay.
If you look at all the demographic variables, Vishnu, we figure out that it's only among the upper caste BJP is leading over Congress, but if you look at among the Dalits, among the tribals, and among the OBCs, Congress has a clear edge. And if you look at the demographics of Chhattisgarh, upper caste are roughly about say 12 to 14% of the population. So seems like Congress is safely ahead of the BJP. At least this is what the data tells us. But look at the men and the women vote. Still BJP has the lead among women if you compare the BJP's votes among the men and the women.
Yeah.
So Congress is still trailing among women if you look at the Congress vote itself.
Right.
Congress is getting more votes among the men, less among the women. BJP gets more votes among the women and less among the men. So that trend continues. The trend of BJP attracting more women vote continues across the three states.
42% women for
But
Congress.
42% women. Let's just have
Congress.
that up again, Sanjay.
No, look at...
Let's bring that up.
Yeah,
Sanjay has a
I
point to make.
could-
Let's bring that graphic up again.
So
42
BJP,
yeah.
among women, BJP is getting 36, and among men, BJP is getting 34.
Right.
So
Okay.
BJP still,
Right.
BJP's popularity is more among women compared to men.
Right. Manisha, the Congress is ahead in both urban and rural areas. Is this a trend that's new in Chhattisgarh, to the best of your knowledge?
I mean, upper caste and urban, I would close my eyes and say BJP. I don't know what's going on here. And certainly I would say that the BJP, since the Prime Minister's popularity is intact, and, as Sanjay has said, he's a vote puller of his own. 1/4 of the votes come on account of him. But the BJP will certainly need to do a lot of things on the ground to keep that image intact amongst, the lower social castes. In urban areas also, normally the BJP doesn't have to do much because that's where their stronghold is.
Okay.
In the rural areas in Chhattisgarh, lots of hard work for the BJP to do in the urban areas and in the rural areas and across social castes.
All right, we've got about 1 minute left on this program, and it's only fair that we go across to our political spokespersons. So, Pratyush, there's a timer, it's in my head. I'm giving you 30 seconds, and Sujata will get 30 seconds as well. So, Pratyush, you've seen what we've had to say about Chhattisgarh. On the basis of this, is the BJP in trouble?
Well, absolutely not. We are a very Sangathan-based party. Our organization is very strong. We know exactly where to hit Baghel. We are taking it at the ground level. You people have no idea how strongly we are working in Chhattisgarh. Our cadre knows exactly what has to be told to the people, and we are doing it day in and day out. This is a very corrupt government. The development has not happened there. And we cannot imagine Baghel there for next 5 years, neither can people of Chhattisgarh.
Okay.
So this is what our organization is doing, our all karyakartas are doing.
Okay, got it.
And trust me, what we have discussed here,
Yes.
we are sitting in a very comfortable position in Chhattisgarh.
All right, Sujata, you had a big
Yes.
smile. We can end the program on your smile if you like, because I suspect I know what your answer is going. Anyway, 30
We are-
seconds quickly, please.
Yes, they are Sangatit only about one man, and we are Sangatit about the people of Chhattisgarh. And that is why it's going to be Congress or
One family.
And you have no family. Our people are our family.
All right.
Chhattisgarhis are our family.
All right, well, we'll leave it over there. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining us, both Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. Absolutely fascinating. It's not as close, perhaps, as it was in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. It seems to be headed towards the Congress. Madhya Pradesh, difficult to call. Rajasthan, far too difficult. But those were opinions that we were seeking, and hopefully you've got answers on some key questions. We are out of time. Good night.